Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danny Phantom, and today I am back at it again with another makeup tutorial. This time, this one is a highly requested masculine makeup tutorial. Something I've been doing literally since the beginning of my cosplay career and something that I have practiced time and time again. So without further ado, let's get to it. So before we properly begin, I'm going to start as I always start, and that is with primer. I have two different primers here. One is for brightening and the other is for color correction. As you can see, I've got a lot of red spots already, and then on top of that, I also just have a lot of red undertones. So using the NYX color correcting primer in green, this one really helps out with those green undertones. So we're gonna start with that. So use multiple primers and mix them in your hands, and it already helps a lot with mixing it and making sure that your skin is nice and smooth. Alright, and I'm also going to go in with the Maybelline Master Camo color correcting pen. This is a lifesaver. And for my foundation, as per the usual, the Revlon Colorstay in my very pale skin tone of ivory. And a nice little beauty blender to go along with it. So depending on the situation that you're going for, you can use different methods. This is the method I usually use for conventions, photo shoots, and shows so that I can look masculine from any sort of distance. It looks a little intense when you're up close, but otherwise it gives a very good masculine silhouette the entire time. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation stick in Fawn, and I'm going to be using this in my contour points or the parts of my face that will make me look the most masculine. Contouring to look masculine takes a lot of practice. You have to figure out what works best for your face and go from there. So the points I primarily focus on when I contour is the nose and into the eyes, the temples, the forehead, the cheekbones, and then the jawline. These are all key points that really help in order to maximize a masculine effect. So to start, we're going to contour my nose. This is just the easiest one for me to explain, and it's really easy for anyone to do it. So to start, I'm going to go actually into that deep pocket of my eye and make it deeper. So right where your orbital bone is, you're going to contour that point, and you're going to go about right to where the point of your eyebrow is. I have half my eyebrow shaved off, so that's why it ends there. And then you're going to take it and you're going to drag down your nose and go straight into giving yourself a long, thin nose. I make my nose thin because I like having a thin nose, but it also exaggerates the depth of your face, and it makes sure that you look like you have very prominent features. This prioritizes your nose and deepens your orbital bone. The most prominent part of their face is their deep set eyes that leads into a very strong, prominent nose. In order to make my nose look a little bit more prominent, I also contour the bottom of it, and then I deepen my philtrum, which is that little dip right above your lip. The philtrum on a man is usually a lot deeper set because they have a very strong, prominent jaw, and it makes sure that their philtrum is a little bit deeper. Then I go into my chin, and I really bring out my chin on this one, and then right under the lip. It makes your lips look a little bit fuller, and then it also just really brings out your jaw, your chin rather. Next, I'm gonna go into my temples. Get that really deep and carved out. It makes your forehead look a little bit larger. I'm gonna get right along there too. It makes your forehead look larger and gives you a little bit more forehead space. If you already got a 4-head, make it a 5-head. But deepening this really opens up to starting on your cheekbone. So in order to get that very sharp cheekbone, I'm going to go way above where my natural cheekbone is. If I suck in my cheeks, that is where I would usually contour at that very soft angle in order to make my face look soft and feminine. To make it look more masculine, I go almost at a 45-degree angle, right to just under like the corner of my eye, very a little bit into the corner of my eye. And then I usually have to look in the mirror in order to make sure that this works, but I'll drag it down and create that square right here. And from there, I'm going to go under my jawline and just really pull it out. Now, since I already have a very square jawline, this works out pretty well for me. Not all people have square jawlines, not all men have square jawlines, but in order to make that super sharp, I make that square. If I wanted to, I could always make my face look way more angular by bringing this point down right along here and giving myself a very sharp heart-shaped jawline. But for now, this is how I contour my face using the contour stick. Okay, and just from blending out this side of my face, we already have a way more masculine silhouette. Alrighty, we're making progress. I'm turning into Jim Carrey, we're making progress. Next up, I'm going to set all of the creams using a powder. I'm using the Mayron setting powder in translucent. So now that we have all of our cream set, it's time to start with our powders. We are going to be using the Morphe Highlight and Contour Palette in 8L, which is called LoFi. It's got a massive mirror. It's gigantic. I don't want you guys to see my setup because it's kind of crusty, but it's a huge mirror and I will actually be using that as I contour. I'm going to be taking 3 different colors. I'm going to be taking the lightest, the mid, and this darker color right here without going super red because that would bring out all of my red undertones. And we're just going to go right back into those areas that we contoured with the cream. Alright, and now I will be moving on to my eyes and how I contour my eyes. It's always the weirdest statement to me is that I have to contour my eyes. Oh lord. So this is where I'm gonna actually start using some warmer shades. This actually brings a little bit more life and depth to my eyes without bringing too many of my red undertones, which I really enjoy. So I'm going to be taking this nice little caramel color. This is the Morphe 35O palette. I absolutely adore this palette. It has the best neutrals in it that you could possibly get. But I'm going to take this color down here, this like nice soft like caramel color. I don't know how to describe it, but it's that nice warm color, and I'm going to go into my outer corner and I'm going to really define where my orbital bone actually rests in my eye. And that includes going a little bit underneath to really set the depth of my eyes. Using that same color, I'm going to blend a little bit outwards. And that's because I'm going to be using a different color to deepen it even more. I'm going to take this nice taupe color right above that caramel color. I'm going to take that taupe and I'm going to further deepen it, really focusing on that outer corner. This closes my eyes up a little bit more, makes them look a little bit smaller. I have naturally very wide eyes, so it helps to close them up a little bit using eyeshadow. So here I'm just continuously darkening that point in the crease of my eyelid, going a little bit underneath my eyes. It does make me look a little tired and a little bit more raccoonish, but I feel like that sometimes makes it look a little bit more natural. From there, I use darker and darker tones, generally staying in the warmer points, using the taupes in order to kind of blend it in a little bit more with the contour I already have, and thus setting my eyes in naturally with the rest of my face. I also darken the points nearby my eyebrows and down my nose, contouring a little bit further in order to blend them into my eyes just a wee bit more. Now we're going to focus on our brows. I always go darker for my brows even when doing normal makeup. It makes me feel like I actually have brows. But this is how I do my eyebrows. It's how I've noticed a lot of men have their eyebrows sitting. Feminine faces tend to have their eyebrows a little bit further set in from their nose. Like if you go against your nose, your brows end about here, men's brows end about here. So like in line with your nose. They're also set lower. And really to deepen my brow bone and to make it look as masculine as possible, I really try to lower them as much as I can, as I naturally can, without making it look weird. So right here, I'm following my natural brown line for the most part, and I'm just gonna make it thicker and heavier. Masculine faces tend not to have a super high arch in their brows. I'm pretty much just highlighting my orbital bone, like where that like naturally ends, to make it pop out a little bit further from where I set it in using the rest of the makeup. But I'm making sure to leave like little to no like high arch in my eyebrows. You can have a high arch in your eyebrows if you're doing masculine makeup. It doesn't feminize your face too much. This is just generally how I do it. It's what works for my face and makes my face look a little bit more masculine and helps it out a little bit more with getting that effect across. And generally makes it a little bit easier for me to pass. If you're just trying to go for a masculine look without being too harsh on it, just remove the lipstick, like the makeup from your lips, like any remaining foundation or powder or anything like that, remove it from your lips, put on some chapstick, and there you have it. Now, for everyone else here who's just trying to look like a pretty anime boy, I'm going to show you how I blank out my lips in order to get that effect without it looking too flat on a human person. Now, I don't usually suggest this. I did this right up until 2019, and I still sometimes do it depending on the character. So there's two ways I do this. Most of you guys know of the dual tone lip, which I do a darker lip and then a nude lip at the bottom in order to get a more, what is now I consider the fantasy lip. That's been going around for a hot minute. But if you're just flat out trying to go for the pretty anime boy, you're just gonna take some concealer, put it on your lips, and I just use my finger and dab it in. From there, you're going to, I hate doing this, but you're gonna powder it. And from there, you're going to take a nice soft little lip brush and a neutral palette. You're gonna go in with that taupe, and you're gonna mix it with that warm brown. And here's where this gets interesting.
So generally whenever I contour my lips, I'll generally just extend off the corners of my lips in order to give it more of a resting smile. I'll also shade in my bottom lip a little bit and then give myself a little bit of a point just under the bow of my mouth in order to give it a little bit more of a pout and a fuller look.
Alright, and from there you have your nice little pretty pouty boy mouth. It does look weird as hell when you smile though, and you can't really eat or drink when you have something like this on. Alright, and I think that about covers it. That is a more in-depth look at masculine makeup, and that is not including doing eyeliner or anything like that. This just generally gives you a nice starter base ground before you go on and do anything else. If you like this video, please do not hesitate to hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to know when I post next. If you'd like to see more of my cosplay, go follow me on Instagram @thefantomb. And if you have any questions, do not be afraid to put them down in the comments below. I will answer as swiftly as possible. I'll also have a list of all of the cosmetics I used down in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is Danny the Phantom, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Please take care of yourself and love your friends. Bye!